thank you for joining us. Right now, we're gonna have a super cool topic about NFTs and fashion. So it's called the panel, How Fashion Brands Can Build in the Metaverse. So I just want to welcome and thank these amazing speakers that we have right now. We have Eve Weston, we have Teffy, thanks for coming, and we have Anne-Marie Almorier. So I'm just gonna let them fill all of us about what's happening, and please enjoy. Thank you.
So I'm gonna take the role of moderator to start with, and I'll introduce myself briefly, and then I'll introduce my co-panelists to let them tell you even more about themselves. So my background actually is as a television comedy writer, and I got the opportunity to work on shows that were very fashion forward, including shows like Will and Grace and Disney Channel's Wizards of Waverly Place with Selena Gomez. I then went on to create the first virtual reality sitcom where you're a character in the show. It's called The Biz Nest, and if you want to look it up, you can check it out on thelook.club. And through that process, I got increasingly interested in the metaverse and NFTs, and I wrote a book on the future of storytelling. It's called 10 Kick-Ass Careers for Storytellers. And so I'm excited to be here today with these ladies to talk about how we can, explore fashion and help brands tell their story with their fashion in the metaverse. So to my left, I have Stefania. I will let her introduce herself further and then pass the baton to Anne-Marie.
Hi everyone, my name is Steffi. I'm also the financial fox. I have a YouTube channel, and my background is quite interesting because when I was young I was a model, right? So, and I have still a big passion for fashion. And obviously, in life, then you have to do some other things, and maybe, your parents, they don't want you to follow your aspirations. So I went into public relation, and eventually I started a PR company working mainly in financial market for around 10 years. Then when I discovered crypto, that was 2016, I kind of thought that's finally the way that I'm gonna be able to bring fashion back into my work. And since then, I have been working with crypto projects and especially NFTs in the last couple of years. And finally, I've been able actually to work with a fashion brand and also with technology companies and find a solution for applying blockchain to brand businesses and helping them to bridge the gap for the next generation. So I'm really excited to be here and share my insight with all of you.
Hi everybody, I'm Anne-Marie Almorier. I'm a fractional marketing director, and I'm here because Michelle McCormick from Fierce NFT got COVID, so she's not here today, and I stepped in. I'm one of the holders of Fierce NFT. Her project is Metaverse based. There's a bunch of NFTs that are based on models. So there are 10 real life models, and all of the NFTs are representative of the different models. And what I love about her project is that it's one of the first that the NFTs can actually be hired as models and get paid real modeling fees. So I have 40 of the Fierce NFTs. I haven't been hired as a model just yet, but I have high hopes, and she's already starting to bring her project into the metaverse to do photo studios and things like that. In my background, I spent more than 20 years as an advertising executive in New York City, so doing the whole Mad Men, Madison Avenue thing. And when I was working for Samsung, they asked me to help them build an experience in Second Life. And that was in 2006. And I went in kicking and screaming. I did not want to join the metaverse. I thought it was bizarre and weird. And they begged me to go in and learn so that I could help them build this project. So I joined on a Friday night, went back to work on a Monday morning, and I had not slept. I was up the entire weekend playing. I was hooked. Because it's creative. It's hugely this UGC opportunity for people to create and collaborate. So I've been a content creator in Second Life since 2006, and it's probably the OG Metaverse. It's very seedy. There's lots of like weird stuff that happens there, but there's also a lot of really amazing stuff that happens there. So I have this unique perspective where I know what's coming. Nobody, really understands what is going to happen once the metaverse becomes mainstream.
Okay.
So I'm super excited, and I'll tell you from my experience in Second Life, my avatar is way more well-dressed than I am. She has the best clothes, the best shoes, the best hair. So I am super excited about what wearables and the potential of wearables is in the future.
Okay, that's very interesting. I'm just going to jump here because I actually think that the main things that is going to be the key for the future in fashion is going to be digital identities. And I'm really curious to see your perspective in, with the Metaverse and the avatars, and where do you see kind of like the space evolving when we are talking about digital identity?
I mean, you can be whatever you want in the metaverse, so that can take any form. It may not even be like a human form. And there's fashion no matter what you decide to be. Like, you could be a dragon and still be really well dressed as a dragon. So, but I think what'll end up happening is your avatar will become your social persona. So when I was in Second Life, I had won a competition with Coca-Cola, and at the time, I was undoxed, and we didn't have that word back then, but Second Life was kind of seedy, and I didn't really want my advertising executive colleagues to know that I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning every night, playing Second Life. So I took on the persona of my avatar. My avatar is the one that won the contest. I didn't really talk about myself. It was, I was Emery, not Anne-Marie. I wasn't very creative with my name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it kind of makes sense because each of us has got a personality, and sometimes you feel constricted in your life to just be represented by a specific persona, and you want to explore yourself. So that's what fashion enables you to be what you want to be, and in the metaverse, being able to kind of like dress differently, but also have different identities. That's basically going to fulfill the richness also for ourselves, that we are not just one thing, we are much more than that. Yeah, I like that.
I think that's a really good way to say it, and it's sort of one of the elements, one of the ways that fashion is telling our story in the metaverse, right? I mean, it's telling, whatever you're wearing is saying something about you. There are also ways that it can say something about the world. I was thinking about this the other day as I was looking at some of the products and projects on DressX and Fabricant, and I was seeing how, the way that the clothes move in the metaverse, they're consistent with the physics of the natural world. Now, what if you're in a space in the metaverse where the clothing doesn't follow the physics of our world? Well, then just from the movement of the virtual fabrics, you do come to understand that you're in a different sort of world, right? And then you can also think about, I think about fashion in TV and film, right? And I recently rewatched Devil Wears Prada, and we've all watched Sex and the City, and we were familiar with Carrie Bradshaw picking out 6 outfits for her date. Why did she pick out 6 outfits? Because each one matches to a story in her mind of how that night's gonna go, right? And so I think in some ways it's similar. You're picking out a certain avatar because you have the vision of this avatar matches the story that you want to play out for you in that space. So that's very cool. Thank you for sharing.
So shall we maybe talk a little about what brands are doing in the space and who is kind of like the most innovative brands, or what, if you want to share your opinion? Because I think all we discuss is great, but at the end of the day, we have to see, what actually brands are doing and if they are approaching the space in the right way, because sometimes I think they are just kind of like, oh, let's do an NFT drop because we don't want to miss it, we want to make money, everybody's making money, so why we don't do it? But I don't think there are actually many brands they have a strategy behind what they are doing, and that is kind of like making me thinking, you know, at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is not just about doing an NFT drop. You should build something because fashion is changing, fashion is evolving, and fashion has been one of the industry that has been disrupted by crypto most, quite unexpectedly at the same time.
That's really interesting. And actually, it reminds me of something you said when you were introducing yourself that I wanted to ask about, and tell me if this relates to the question you just brought up. Is you said that you'd help some fashion brands come up with solutions, blockchain solutions or crypto solutions. Would you want to tell us a little bit about some of those solutions as case studies for what works and how to have a reason behind your...
Definitely. So I think when I'm discussing with brands, the main things they said was, you know, for the last year was, oh yeah, we want to do an NFT drop, just because they didn't want to miss it. So they wanted to be there. They want to find a way to make money because, you know, maybe the next generation likes games. So it was more an approach like either for marketing or to kind of trying to make money that way. Some other brands, they were more interested in the use of blockchain for supply chain transparency and authentication. So how actually blockchain, you know, can help us to verify our product. So then we are going to be talking about product ID. And that's kind of like where I see also blockchain adding lots of value to fashion. So there were kind of like different aspects, but I think there were not many. They were having kind of mature conversation. And if I have to name a couple of brands where I saw actually they had more a plan, I would say Gucci was one of the people that impressed me, and also Dolce & Gabbana, because the way they approached the space, yes, they did an NFT drop, but then they start to think about actually with our brand that has got stronger identity, what we want to be doing. They started with the box drops, and I think they are doing something interesting in the space. Many other, they just did a drop and okay, maybe they sold, maybe not, but I couldn't see much strategy behind it, and that was a little bit upsetting, you know.
Yeah, no, I hear that. In case some of the people in our audience aren't as familiar with the Gucci and the Dolce & Gabbana, do you or Anne-Marie, do you want to explain a little bit for those folks who are new to the space?
I mean, Gucci I thought was pretty cool because it took the Bored Apes and it applied Gucci, drip to your avatar, which I think is really cool. And it's one of the applications that I think is going to innovate in the space. So like my World of Women, now I have to buy another NFT that I can sort of run through the website to change her clothes. But just the fact that I can change the clothes on my NFT, I think is innovative.
Yeah.
But when you go back to like the original, Metaverse and what I saw with fashion, like American Apparel was way, further out than I think the world was ready for back in 2006. But they had opened a virtual version of their store where, you could buy a jacket for yourself and you could buy the matching jacket for your avatar. I think that's going to be something that we're going to see more of in the future, so that you can dress like your avatar, if you choose to. But interoperability is an issue still. So, it annoys me that I have, thousands and thousands of pieces of virtual fashion that I loved and I paid, good money for over all the years, that I can't bring with me into these other metaverses right now. So I think one of the things that will help brands win in the next era is going to be, how can you build that same wardrobe that you offer in the physical world as digital wearables and allow them to take it into whatever metaverse you want.
I completely agree with you, because I think if fashion items are digital assets and are part of our identity, you want to be able to bring them everywhere you go. And I think the element of portability, it is an issue because there isn't interoperability in the space. I mean, we see there isn't interoperability in DeFi, and it looks like all the blockchain, they're working in silo, and they have found bridges as a solution to kind of like bring your assets from one blockchain to the other, but we're still a very early stage where bridges are very vulnerable, and also sometimes the user experience isn't so great. But yeah, interoperability is a big thing. But also one of the things that when I'm talking to brand, I'm saying, they were mainly focused on doing drop on Ethereum or Polygon because that's where all the network was, that's where all the money was. And I remember one brand said to me, "Oh, we are doing a drop on Polygon because that's where the money are. They are on Ethereum or Polygon." But actually, it's not, because crypto community, they are on different chains. Solana has got so many people now. They are engaged with NFT. Cardano is a massive community as well, and I'm working with IHK at the moment, especially on digital identity and product ID. And I think what brands should be doing should actually try to think about doing different drop on different blockchain, because that's why they can capture different community, and they can also educate the community. And I think a responsibility from the brand is not just let's embrace crypto, let's embrace NFT. It's also about educating those community about their brand and the identity they are trying to project and engage with those community. So there are so many things.
It's hard enough to get into NFTs, but to adapt to yourself into different metaverses is really difficult too. So after years and years of being in Second Life, it's so difficult for me to figure out how to work everything in Decentraland, because it's like a whole new operating system. It's completely different.
I love that pitch though. It feels almost like the department store model of the metaverse, right? Where the brand isn't just in their own flagship store. They want to go where the people are shopping. So put your NFTs for your fashion brand on the different blockchains so that more people are exposed to them and can pick them up and apply them until we get to a place of greater interoperability.
It was also, I was listening in one talk, they were talking about decentralization, social media, and one of the speakers said, right, how decentralization can change the model of influencers. And obviously in fashion, we have got lots of influencers, and sometimes, I'm still very close to some of the brands, and when I see perhaps they are getting influencer, they are just a random model or random celebrity, they don't even feel for the brand. They just, they get free clothing, and then they get paid just to kind of promote the brand, but they don't really feel for the brand, they don't really like the brand, they don't really reflect the brand. I'm so angry, and I'm saying, why these people need to get free clothes? That I love the brand, or anybody, forget about me, that could be another person say, I really like the brand, I shop the brand, and I have to pay full price when this celebrity or this model, she's just getting free things. And I say, why? So then I was thinking, right, I think that's where decentralization can really help, because building a community, and if you really engage with the brand, then you might be able to become an influencer yourself. So I'm really hoping that the way that the fashion influencer model is going to change with decentralization is going to be more democratic for people that really love the brand, and they are not the usual influencers, to kind of being able to become leader in the community and raise their status and maybe become the new influencer type. I kind of think that will be great.
There are influencers in the metaverse already who are building their own fashion, that aren't real life brands. So I think it's interesting because there's a huge opportunity for, digital artists to build out these brands and collections in the metaverse from, the ground up.
I think that's really interesting, and it can go both ways too, right? We can have the real world brands bringing their fashion into the metaverse. I'm sure we will also see more and more metaverse fashion brands converting their digital fashions into wearable things in the real world. That's been a dream of mine for the VR sitcom, right? I have a fashion designer. I'm looking to partner with brands to bring her wardrobe to the viewing audience. Yeah.
Exactly, and then the community can also give an input and can become more cooperative with the brand. At the end of the day, brand, they design for the people.
Yeah.
They get, how much fashion is being influenced by society, but what was going on with the society. And I think, it will be nice to see the community more involved not to dictate fashion, but you know what I mean, to try to make fashion a reality and bring their aspiration to the designer from the ground up a little bit more.
And I think the way that real life kind of, we imitate real life in the metaverse. So, the kind of fashion would cycle throughout seasons, So like if I had an outfit, and it was at the last event and a new event just happened, I had to have like, the newest stuff to be current. So anything that we're doing in the real world can be kind of replicated and is replicated in the metaverse. So you can have modeling agencies and model contracts to like be in publications and things like that. And I don't think the main audience yet has understood like what that can actually become.
Yeah, that's actually something I've been working with Metaverse Talent Group, is it more in the hosting and performing, that it extends to models, right? If you have a space in the metaverse, you'll need a host to greet your guest, a salesperson. You might need models to model the digital clothing.
Stylists.
Yeah,
yes.
stylists. So yeah, feel free to hit up Metaverse Talent Group. That's great. Actually, you mentioned something interesting about changing clothes for the season, and it made me think back to the models that you said you have, and you said that you haven't been hired, your models haven't been hired yet, but I'm curious, have you been able to play with them and change their clothes? Like, have you been able to import outfits and try on different outfits on your NFT models?
Not on the Fierce yet, but I'm sure Michelle has probably some plans for the future. But they did a partnership with Decentraland when they launched, and they did wearables where they dropped, like, one of the traits was like a little kind of eyepiece that got dropped onto one audience, and then they gave us some of their virtual fashion. So we have some wearables that are based on the NFT that are now starting to kind of cross over into the metaverse. So, I'm sure the Fierce team has plans for that. I've seen World of Women do it. There's lots of different applications of how the NFTs kind of relate back to wearables, because they're completely separate, really. My Decentraland wearables live as an NFT in my wallet, which is a little bit of a messy experience. And, when you've got thousands of pieces of digital fashion, like, there's no closet. There's no like place to organize things and assemble your outfits. So, it's a weird thing to kind of hope for innovation in, but down the road.
Actually, so on that note, I know that sort of DressX is promoting themselves as your virtual closet. Have you looked at that at all as a place?
I haven't. No, I recently played with the Fabricant, because they did a World of Women partnership where you could actually go in and build the outfit and apply the fabrics. And as of right now, that turns into an NFT. So I'll have an NFT of that wearable, and then I'll have a Decentraland version of the wearable as well.
Okay. Exciting stuff.
Okay, so now if we maybe talk a little bit about the physical item, so the digital twin, that's what I wanted to bring it up. So we have got the NFT that is a representation of a physical item in the real world.
Yes.
Okay. Let's.
I think we're already seeing that with things outside of fashion. So I've seen NFTs where you get the headphones that your avatar has. I think it'll be interesting to see down the road. If I've got an outfit on an avatar, if I could buy it in real life, like it's almost flipping it upside down.
In a personalized way.
Yes, I have NFTs that I want to wear because they're cool.
That's quite cool, because I think we all start to think like from the real you go to the digital, where actually what about from the digital we go to the physical?
Yeah.
And the physical can become kind of tailored, more personalized based on your body shape, so then sizes as well. They are not going to be so strict, because I think, how many of you have got problem with sizes? I do have problem with sizes, always. And then sometimes it's a nightmare, and you have to find that brand that fits you perfectly with blazer. I love blazers, I really love them, and there is always something that is wrong. Either the waist is too large and the neck is too big, or the other way around.
And I think the digital universe gives us more opportunity to play and be brave and not worry about whether something looks good together. So in the digital space, you can be more creative and you can dress any way you want. So I do think it's going to kind of go the opposite way, because most people, I don't want to look like this in the metaverse. Like I want to look, I want to be like 10,000 feet tall and like, be like some crazy like different animal or something. Like, you have more ability to do whatever you want.
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting point, though, that we think of fashion in the metaverse as being something that's there, that's in there.
Yeah.
But I love this idea that it actually may impact how we shop for clothing in the real world, and we might go back to a model where it's more tailored.
I think maybe the model is going to go upside down, and we always thought fashion is craft, so it's real, it's something that you touch, you wear. But perhaps in the future it will be starting from the metaverse, and then from there, then you can bring it up to the clothing, to the accessories that you want to wear. I think it's quite interesting. And one other aspect that I think is quite compelling, and I'm actually working on at the moment with IOHK, is about authentication of luxury brand, and the ability to use NFT as a digital twin with verified credentials that can actually become the digital certificate of a luxury item. And I think that's quite a big thing, especially if you are focusing on luxury goods that can be very, very expensive. And when you have to resell them in the secondary market, that's where you lose all kind of like authentication, you lose the ownership as well of the garments. And this is where I think product identity become really a compelling use case.
Yeah, that's a really excellent use case, and it also gives you a second advantage, right? You might not wear that piece every day, but when you're not wearing it in the real world, it might still be representing you in some capacity in the virtual world, so you get a little bit more wear out of it.
Yeah, exactly. So the product offering that a brand can do is much more than just a handbag. It will be a physical handbag, and it will be a virtual handbag that maybe also unlock different other kind of experience in the metaverse. I think the sky is really the limit. So tell us a little bit about the model. I'm excited about this model in the metaverse.
I think it'll be interesting to see different forms that models take, because a lot of NFT collections are starting to reverse engineer and like build avatars out of their initial PFP campaigns.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be really interesting. Like seeing a bored ape like actually in the other side is like one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So like how are the models going to actually look? Anybody can be a model in the metaverse. So like, it's really dependent upon what you want. So there are virtual fashion like agencies where, there are influencers that are like within the metaverse. So I think there's going to be a lot of innovation in the space once people kind of understand what they can be like. When some of the bored apes are starting to do TV, for example, like some of them might become famous just from some of the work that they do.
Then they might start dating your models.
Yeah, that's.
They're not on the market. They're all taken.
Good. I respect that. Yeah, that's exciting.
Maybe do we want to take some questions?
I think that sounds great. What do we got? Who out there has a burning question about how brands can use the metaverse to showcase fashion or get their brand out there? All right.
Hi. How do you see this type of technology changing how fashion brands do advertising? Instead of like maybe advertising on a website or through social media, how do you see this kind of changing them to advertise differently or in a different way? Especially with your background doing a lot of that type of work.
That's a tough one because you have to go where your audience is, right? So, a TV spot or, something like that may not reach your audience. The best thing is to advertise right in the metaverse. So, years ago, when I was spending a lot more time in Second Life, they would have fashion events, like that happened monthly, and you would advertise it by posting on the channels where we were sharing. So like, some people had Instagram profiles or Facebook profiles, and you could target, Second Life users that way. So I think we'll probably see some of that, where you can actually target your ads, your digital ads, to people that, have interests in certain metaverses. But really what you have to do is figure out where the actual community is. They may be on Twitter, they may not be on Twitter, or, just advertising right in the metaverse. Think of it as like in-game advertising, but a little bit deeper. So like most of the metaverses probably have their own publications that they're reading. So, I'm in like different Twitter groups or Discord groups. You have to kind of be there and be present and get the influencers in the community who the other people are listening to. Like we had influencers who would wear the outfit and, do an ad for the outfit, and then we all go and we buy the outfit.
And I'll just jump in quickly, and then I'll let you respond as well. But I was going to say, I think, what I'm going to say might take a little bit more time to get there, but I think the other thing we might start seeing more of is experiential advertising. Events are going to be happening in the metaverse, and so rather than just doing what we think of as a traditional ad, avatars, attendees, performers can be wearing the fashion, and there might be even shoppable events. So I think that we might find ourselves leaning more towards experiential advertising, and even before everyone's fully in the metaverse, speaking to Anne-Marie's point about we have to go where the audience is, the metaverse extends to AR. So I think we might even see more experiential advertising using the interfaces we have already. Smartphones for now, spectacles are getting better, and so that's kind of where I see it happening.
And there's influencers too. So when I went to the BFF launch party in Decentraland, Paris Hilton was the actual DJ. So her avatar was in the room with everybody else. And I couldn't move because my computer's not powerful enough to handle Decentraland, but I could see, people looking at what she was wearing, what her avatar was wearing, and kind of wanting to emulate some of her style. So we might see that start to happen as well.
I think you kind of raised a good point about experiential advertising. And I think this is interesting because with all this digital fashion, the fashion industry, which is very traditional, they started to do more collaboration. And I think with those collaboration and partnership, they're going to be able to do more marketing. And also the store, which used to be the place where you buy and shop, now becomes the place to create experience. And I think the concept of the store is going to be very different than what it was before, and it's going to mix some digital with physical, and it will become more like a hub, and there will be more pop-up in different cities. So I think the kind of marketing and advertising will be very, very different. Very different.
Yeah. All right, should we look for another question? Okay.
What are your thoughts on Hermès suing the digital NFT artists for creating Birkin bags on the metaverse and selling them?
I wasn't aware of that, but IP is IP, right? In my opinion. I think that there are some NFT collections that are stealing other people's IP, and some call it a derivative. And right now they're getting away with it. That was something that I saw in the metaverse as well. So there were like Chanel knockoffs, in the metaverse. But I mean, I think there's always room to kind of remix and innovate, but I don't know the specific lawsuit. So
I think that's why counterfeiting has been in fashion forever, and I think the solution, which is what I'm working with the team at IOHK, is about verified credentials. So the ability to give a product an identity and the ability to give an NFT an identity. So you basically get information about the product that become verified credential, and you wrap them into an NFT. So the NFT has got some data that can be counterfeited. So in order to verify this NFT, you don't need to go through all the chain to make sure that was issued by that specific brand, but you will actually just look at NFT with those verified credentials and you are going to be able to say that's legit or is not legit. So I think this is where the only way that you are going to get around the IP, because each NFT will have a policy ID in it.
I think the challenge though is that it's decentralized, so there is no police, right? So with OpenSea starting to flag things that are, that were possibly stolen assets, and in some cases people are reporting them as stolen assets and they're not. So there's a really dicey area there in Web3 for, we don't want to be policed, and at the same time we get really angry if someone's stealing our work.
Yeah, but I think identity has to basically bring something to the decentralized movement and to the blockchain space, and that's very important in fashion, but also in identity that can touch different aspects of our life. For instance, health can be any kind of data by yourself. It's very important that as the blockchain space, as the crypto space evolve and our life are going to be more and more online, we need to protect our data, we need to protect our identity, we need to protect our digital assets. So I think it is very important that identity brings something to this space so then we can be more secure about ourselves and what we own as well.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big advantages of blockchain at the end of the day, is that verifiability. And so, that's one of its great strengths, and we should absolutely be making sure that we're using that to protect the IP of the original creators.
I saw that we've got 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Should we all just do a wrap up?
I was going to see if we had one more question, but if not, we can do a wrap up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, hello. I guess one observation I'm having in terms of looking into the fashion industry or trying to make it into the blockchain to make itself into the digital space is two playing fields. One is the blockchain itself, how the network can handle fashion NFTs and how artists can try to distribute it, engage with the audience, with, I guess, the fans of the fashion. And the second playing field is the actual fashion industry itself, that we have already huge established market players, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, or you have fast fashion industries such as like H&M that already grabbed I guess, their market share, their audience, and still is currently making it difficult for individual artists to bring their brand, their clothing lines to, I guess, customers and those that could be interested in that art. Do you think that transition from the physical to the digital in the fashion space will carry on that kind of like market share, market dominance, or is it more of like a playing field of everyone, open field, even individual artists can have the same like competition advantage as like the established fashion giants?
I think it's going to change it, because the way the H&M, Zara, Primark, they were born to give something more accessible to people. So you see, and then there was all the issue about fast fashion and mass production and stuff like that, and some brands being very expensive and not accessible to everybody. But I think with actually crypto and blockchain, I think this model is going to change, and there won't be so much difference. I think it's more about brands and identity and product rather than fast fashion brand and like luxury brand, because you're kind of starting a new space. So I think there will be more freedom also for new designers to emerge and become very popular, and the success of a brand will be driven by the community rather than the price that is established by the brand, if that kind of makes sense.
I think the playing field is even, because if you look at NFT culture, some of the biggest successes in the space have been, small companies, not big brands necessarily. So I think there's lots of opportunity for, the smaller players and independent artists. So I think it's more challenging for the brands, because they may have the budget, but they're not assimilating into these, universes in a way that the community is going to accept. So, until you're there and you can prove to me that you understand why I'm there and what I want, it's going to be harder for them to succeed.
Yeah, I would second that. That it's actually easier for an independent creator to become a part of a community than a brand, And then secondly, if you want to compete on the fashion playing field in the real world, like you have to produce the line. You have to get, you have to get it made and get it into stores. And there's something about the metaverse where you can create your designs and put them out there without having to manufacture it all first. And there might even be an investment model using NFTs so that fans of that designer could support their brand. So I think it raises a lot of interesting opportunities.
It's a massive opportunity for independent design, massive, and for brands, as just you said, it's a big challenge because if something goes wrong, they put their face on and they basically just screwed up, and they are going to be punished for that. Whereas an independent designer, you have nothing to lose. The worst things that doesn't work, but you can still do it again. So I think, it's going to be exciting.
I think Michelle, who wasn't able to be here today, her Metaverse collection I think is really interesting because she's not a huge brand. She was a fashion photographer and she built out all of these models. So anybody that doesn't have an avatar or NFTs, check out the Fierce collection because I think she'd get a charge out of getting a bunch of new users even if she wasn't here today.
And with that, should we each give quickly where people can find and follow us and the brands we're representing? Do it.
Michelle McCormick on Twitter and Fierce NFT. My name is really difficult to spell, but A.M. Almarie. Anybody that wants to follow me on Twitter, you may just need to find me and I'll show you how to spell it. Michelle and Fierce.
You can find me on Twitter, Stefixi, or Stefania Barbaglio on LinkedIn, and then I have a YouTube channel if you want to check it out. It's called The Financial Fox.
Okay. And I'm Eve Weston, EVE, last name WESTON, across all platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. If you're interested in storytelling in the metaverse, check out the Look Club, thelook.club online, and then I'm here partly representing Ashley Crowder, who's part of Ventana. So if you're looking for three-dimensional workflows for your digital assets, definitely check that out.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.